So now Rand Paul has had some issues with race in the past, and Chris Hayes did a great job pointing this out the other night. Now, you might remember that in 2009, his Senate campaign spokesperson had to step down because it turns out that he had left up on his MySpace page. First of all, he should resign for having a MySpace page. But for 2 years, a terribly racist comment and an allusion to lynching. And apparently somebody had put that up there. He did not object to it, and he kept it up. And so he had to step down. And Chris made the argument that that was strike one. He said strike two was his stance on civil rights. Now, which he, of course, famously mentioned on Rachel Maddow's show, and says the Civil Rights Act he would not have been in favor of because it was against liberty. Now, I think that Rand Paul obviously was wrong about that. I totally disagree with him. But I understand that he was making a libertarian argument. I'm not sure that I would have counted that as one of the strikes. I understand that if you do, etc. But, you know, I think he was trying to be true to his principles, although it would have had terrible consequences, and I wholeheartedly disagree with him. Now, Chris mentioned this third strike that everybody's talking about, this guy named the Southern Avenger. So let's talk about that because that's current, and we'll let you decide what kind of guy Rand Paul might be. Well, it's this guy named Jack Hunter who's on his staff. Now, you have to understand that this guy is someone who's very close to Rand Paul. Not only is this his social media advisor right now in Washington, but he also co-wrote Paul's first book with him in 2010. I mean, you co-write a book with someone, you're damn close to him. And despite the new revelations, Rand Paul is standing by him, says that he is a highly gifted person and that he will not hold his statements against him. So what did this guy do? Well, they describe him as a radio shock jock from South Carolina, and he would do things like appear in a ski mask with a Confederate flag on it. Now, obviously, that's very offensive to some people, but if we just left it right there, it might not do the job. Now, let's take a look at some of the things that he has said that might get you to think otherwise. He has wholeheartedly criticized Abraham Lincoln, saying he's a bad guy. He went on to say that John Wilkes Booth, of course Lincoln's assassin, that his heart was in the right place. Remember, he assassinated Lincoln. That'll do it for me. I'm not sure I would need anything more than that. But Rand Paul stands by him and says, quote, "I'm not a fan of secession. Why? Are you not merciful?" He continues to say, "I think the things he said about John Wilkes Booth are absolutely stupid. I think Lincoln was one of our greatest presidents. Do I think Lincoln was wrong in taking away the freedom of the press and the right of habeas corpus? Yeah." Now look, those are valid criticism of Abraham Lincoln. But people who actually care about habeas corpus, freedom of the press, civil liberties, civil rights, etc., those are not the people criticizing Lincoln. The people criticizing Lincoln are the ones that are like, damn, he beat the South. We love the South. We want it to be. Look, in fact, Jack Hunter talked about how he'd wished that they'd won, and that he was for the Southern Republic, which, by the way, right now would be Northern Mexico if they had won. Okay, so so Rand Paul criticizing Lincoln is a little bit of like, oh, don't get me wrong, I don't like Lincoln. Okay, all right, I see. Now, we go back to Jack Hunter. Well, come on. Maybe he just made that one silly comment about John Wilkes Booth, right? Well, he also said white people are subject to a racial double standard. Oh, poor white people. God, they've suffered terribly in this country. And, you know, if they could have just owned slaves for a little longer or oppressed them a little while longer, then Jack Hunter, I suppose, in his Confederate ski mask, would have been a little bit happier. But poor white people. But nonetheless, Rand Paul says, people are calling him a white supremacist. If I thought he was a white supremacist, he would be fired immediately. If I thought he would treat anybody on the color of their skin different than others, I'd fire him immediately. Really, here's what Jack Hunter had to say earlier, quote, "Non-white majority America would simply cease to be America for reasons that are as numerous as they are obvious, whether we are supposed to mention them or not." In other words, the real America is white America. And if America became majority non-white, it would simply cease to exist. Because Latinos and blacks and Asians, they're not real Americans. But I'm sure that guy would treat other minorities with total fairness. And he would never discriminate against them. And never wish to hold them as slaves as part of the Southern Republic. No, 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 no. Look, even if all that was, as Rand Paul describes it, youthful showmanship. By the way, he's 39 years old. Now, again, he did some of that, obviously, in the past when he was a little younger, right? Youthful showmanship. Him saying that if America is not white, it's not really America. That's pretty crystal clear. Him being happy about Lincoln's assassination, pretty crystal clear. So if Rand Paul holds on to this guy, and it appears he will 100% support him and hold on to him, he's very adamant about it, well, it certainly does give you some insight into Rand Paul.